Carole Middleton just dropped a royal shocker involving Queen Camilla, and it's causing whispers across Buckingham Palace. Could this be the ultimate clash of queens? Or is there something deeper brewing behind palace doors? What did Carole reveal that has everyone gasping? The unexpected twist has thrown the royal family into the spotlight. Is this a misunderstanding or a power move that changes everything? Carole's bold move has left everyone guessing what's next. Cracks in the royal image. There were rumors of a big fight between Carole Middleton and Queen Camilla, and things got out of hand in the royal realm. It began as a soft whisper among royals, and quickly grew into a loud roar that could be heard outside of Buckingham Palace. What began as harmless guesswork turned into a frenzy that drew watchers from all over the world, not just Britain. At the center of it all was the mystery Carole Middleton, who was sometimes seen as Catherine, Princess of Wales's reliable and supportive agent. Carole had always been a calm presence for the royal family, making them feel safe and at ease. On the other hand, Queen Camilla, who is now officially known as Queen Consort, spent years building her image as a reliable and polite royal servant. It was almost impossible to imagine these two women fighting. The stories stuck around, though. They began innocently enough, with harmless comments at social events and relaxed office chatter, but they quickly took off. There were many questions. What could have caused such a fight? Was it just an issue between two people? Different ideas about how the royal family should act? On the other hand, they might have different thoughts about where the family should go. No one knew for sure because there wasn't enough specific information. Within days, the media picked up on the story and used fake news and dramatic headlines to make it even bigger. One newspaper yelled, "Royal Rift, Carole versus Camilla." "Middleton shocker. What really happened at the palace?" a person said. People on social media were nervously watching everyone in public to see if there were any signs of trouble. Everything, like a long look, a stiff stance, or not being there at a certain event, was looked at and overlooked to fit the story. As the panic grew, the photographers became more and more mean. Cameras were set up outside of Carole Middleton's Berkshire home to try to get a picture of her, and maybe a response. Every person was shot, and everything they did was watched. Reporters accompanied Queen Camilla to official events to find out what she thought about the subject. A theoretical rumor turned into a real show because of the ongoing probe. A lot of people wanted to look at the house. It was painful for a company that relied on good public relations to deal with this unexpected drama. Plans were talked about behind closed doors, but I couldn't think of a clear solution. It would be better if you directly addressed the reports, but would that just give them more weight? It was not the first scandal the royal family had seen. This one felt more personal and invasive. Kate was going through a very personal time. Carole Middleton was more than just her mother. She was also her counselor, rock, and best friend. Seeing her get caught up in a wave of media hurt Kate. It was important to her to clear the air and keep her mother safe. At the same time, she knew that responding to the reports might make things worse. Kate was walking on a very thin wire. When looked at more closely, every public speech seemed more important. Too much of a smile could be seen as lack of interest, while too much of a serious face could be seen as proof of the split. Behind closed doors, there was even more pressure. So if there was a gap to begin with, how could she close it between her mother and sister? For Prince William, the situation was a frustrating reminder of how hard it is to be a part of the royal family. William, who would later become king, was used to handling family arguments with a cool head. But this time, more was at stake. When his wife and mother-in-law got involved, it became more personal. And when the public became interested, it made things more complicated. William put repairing the damage first. Even though he was worried about the people involved, he also knew that the monarchy's image had to be protected. He thought it was important that Carole, Kate, and Camilla were treated fairly by their family and by the world. Still, it was easier said than done to come up with an answer. Because there are so many moving parts and so much attention, even a small mistake could have big effects. King Charles, who was in charge of the country, had dealt with crises before, but this one was tough. The family wanted to show that they were strong and united, so the stories about his wife and the mother of his daughter-in-law were a distraction that no one wanted. Charles worked hard to bring the monarchy up to date and make sure it was still useful in a society that was changing. Stories like these could have stopped that progress. Taking a practical view, Charles focused on how the family could present a united front. He knew that how people saw him was important, and he also knew that his critics would jump on any sign of trouble. Even he couldn't ignore, though, how the situation was making the people involved deeply sad. It was important to him to find a way to stop the rumors and bring the family back together. The reactions from the palace staff were mixed. Some people thought that the rumors were just an exaggerated story that would eventually come true. They were a real worry for other people. The staff knew better than anyone how quickly a small issue could become a major crisis. The story was a big part of conversations in the break rooms and halls. Some staff members asked where the accusations came from, while others talked about how the family would respond. Being careful with the situation made people feel uneasy because they thought it could get worse if they weren't careful. The staff knew they could help limit the damage, but they also knew it wouldn't make a big difference. As the days went by, the excitement didn't seem to slow down. Things were tough for the royal family. If you directly address the whispers, they might become true. On the other hand, ignoring them can make the situation worse. Each choice was important for both the people involved and the kingdom as a whole. The situation showed how hard it is to be a public person these days. With news that comes out every hour and rumors on social media, even a small spark can start a blaze these days. Carole Middleton and Queen Camilla were reminded of how much attention people pay when they are related to the royal family. But underneath it all, everyone knew the family would make it through. The royal family would get through this one just like they had many others. How they would get through the problem and what lessons they would learn were more important than whether they would make it through. A misunderstanding turns tense. The public was very interested in the fight between Carole Middleton and Queen Camilla, even though no one knew exactly what the fight was about. Several theories that might help us understand the stress were made quickly through speculation. Each theory gave a different view of the situation, but they all pointed to how hard it would be to handle personal relationships in such a public place. One reason could have been a simple misunderstanding. Since people from different countries have different points of view, even a small mistake could lead to a fight. Someone might have taken offense at something that was meant to be harmless by one person. Every word is important in the ruling realm, so misunderstandings can spread quickly. Cultural norms and ways of communicating are also very important. Carole Middleton, who was born into a common family, may have dealt with some problems in a way that Camilla, who is used to royal customs, wasn't expecting. Even though this change in approach wasn't bad, it could have led to confusion. Over time, as small problems got worse, a full-blown misunderstanding could have come up and made both women upset. Even worse, good-hearted people could have joined in. If someone tries to mediate without fully understanding what's going on, they might accidentally make things worse. Someone on staff or a family friend may have sent false information, making one person think the other person was up to no good. Even though these efforts were meant to help, they might have made the problem look worse than it was. A second scenario that makes sense is one that involves a more personal family argument. Every family has problems, and the royal family is no different. Sometimes disagreements happen over things that affect everyone. One example is that Carole Middleton has been seen to be very active in the lives of her grandchildren. If her views on how they should be raised were different from Camilla's, it would be a big disagreement. The first part of this kind of conversation might not have been hostile. In fact, it might have come from love and care for the same kids. While Camilla may have thought it was important to follow royal traditions, Carole may have wanted to take a more hands-on approach that focused on normalcy and relationship. Over time, Even a difference in parenting styles that is meant to be helpful could lead to arguments. A visit from the royal family or a charity event could also cause trouble. Planning a big, well-known event is never easy. Questions about who should go, why should be stressed, and how things should be set up often lead to fights. If Carole and Camilla have different thoughts on one of these issues, the disagreement that would follow could ruin their relationship. This kind of family fight can be hard on the emotions. Even though the two women were arguing about something as simple as a guest list, feelings of being misunderstood or unappreciated may have been going on underneath. A fight that started out as a practical one could become more personal, hurting both sides. The last situation thinks about how the media might help create and amplify the drama. For this reason, it is hard to ignore the fact that Carole Middleton and Queen Camilla are said to be at odds with each other. Sometimes the media would take a small event and make it into a huge issue, even if there wasn't much truth to it. The media could use the fact that Carole and Camilla were seen at an event looking serious or not together as proof that they are having a problem. Headlines like Carole versus Camilla and Middleton's Bombshell revelation would get people excited, no matter how true the story was. Over time, these stories that were too dramatic would spread and give the sense of real conflict. The problem got even worse because of social media. On sites like Twitter and Instagram, people talked about the stories as if they were proven facts. Quickly sharing comments, jokes, and hashtags creates an echo chamber that makes the problem seem more serious than it really is, which is likely not the case. The public's view changed, and soon, even if there wasn't a strong debate, everyone thought there was one. The media's role in making this war happen cannot be stressed enough. To get Carole and Camilla to answer, they kept dropping hints that there was a bombshell revelation or a bad fight. When they were being questioned over and over, the two women found it hard to get past any small disagreement. Instead, the story got out of hand, making an already tough family situation even worse. The hardest part in all of these situations, misunderstandings, family fights, and media-driven sensations, was figuring out how to move forward. Clear communication is needed to clear up misunderstandings. Agreement and understanding are needed to settle family arguments. And media-driven chaos needs to be carefully managed so that it doesn't get worse. The main worry was how the family could deal with the effects, not what the most likely outcome would be. No matter if the strain was real or just made up by the media, it showed how hard life can be for a royal. In this case for Carole Middleton, it meant trying to stay true to her morals while still being a supportive parent. It meant that Camilla had to balance her duties as queen consort with her need to keep the peace in her family. They had to deal with a situation together that took patience, understanding, and a shared desire to protect the future of the family, the road to reconciliation. As rumors of a fight between Carole Middleton and Queen Camilla reached their peak, the royal family had no choice but to step in. Never explain, never complain has been a strategy that the royal family has always liked. But the amount of rumors and news stories about this supposed split made them change their minds. Passivity might have worked in the past, but now that we have social media, stories can reach more people and spread faster than ever. Most likely, advisors worked behind closed doors to come up with answers that could help guide the story in a subtle way. The family never talked about the accusations directly, but a well-planned schedule of meetings and quiet comments began to show. Aides sent cards encouraging families to work together and be together, declared statements about ongoing charitable work and mutual support for shared causes sent a subtle message. Any conflict that people thought existed was either overblown or solved. In yet another plan, the focus was on shared goals. The royal family paid extra attention to events that both Carole and Camilla backed, which showed that the two women had similar views. Even though it didn't add anything to the story, this indirect message helped to calm people down. Basically, by drawing attention to the good, the bad became invisible. A big part of the plan to deal with the damage was to focus on forgiveness. Every difference had to be worked out, whether it was real or imagined. It seemed like the next step would be to set up a secret meeting between Carole and Camilla. When they were not being watched by the media, both women could clear up any confusion. This kind of face-to-face conversation, where there were no agents, helped people clear up any doubts, talk about their feelings, and rebuild trust. Besides a private talk, there are many other ways to show unity that can be seen by everyone. Going to a well-known event together could send a strong message. No matter if it was a joint project, a royal wedding, or a charity dinner, seeing Carole and Camilla right next to each other, laughing and working together, would calm people down. The events showed everyone that whatever had been said was over, and that both women were united in their support for the royal family. An independent third party was yet another way that the two sides could get along. A friend or family member that Carole and Camilla both trusted could be a referee. This person could help close the gap by hearing both sides and encouraging a healthy conversation. A different point of view can help everyone find common ground and understand the other side. The whole thing was a sobering warning of how quickly things can go wrong when they are in the public eye. It made the royal family realize how important it is to keep up a united front, especially when they are being closely watched. Even a small misunderstanding could get worse if it isn't dealt with quickly and carefully. Because of this experience, the royal family definitely learned more about how to navigate public opinion. It became more and more important that private and openness work well together. If you want to keep your respect, don't answer every rumor. But letting false information spread is a different story. The situation showed how quickly and subtly people can put an end to rumors with things like joint appearances or carefully chosen words. Not only did the PR staff of the royal family get trained. For me, the experience probably made me realize how important it is for my family to talk to each other freely. People in the public eye are always being watched, but arguments often happen behind closed doors. Making sure that everyone in the family felt heard, valued, and loved would help keep fights from turning into public shows in the future. Carole Middleton has responsibilities and problems because she is a member of the royal family. She needs to be both graceful and wise because she is the grandmother of a possible king and the mother of the future queen. She doesn't have a royal title, but the media and people around her constantly criticize her for the way she acts and behaves. Every move she makes and every public appearance is being closely watched, so she has to stay cool and polite. She has to balance her family duties with the public's close watch. This means she always has to think about how her words and actions will be seen by the royal family and by people all over the world who are ready to make sense of everything she does. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click on the next video popping up on your screen to stay up to date with all the latest royal family updates.